Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. I'm Rob Finnerty. Former President Donald Trump has officially been arraigned, pleading not guilty to 37 felony counts related to his alleged mishandling of classified documents. Joining us now to break it down further, former Trump attorney and executive director at the American Center for Law and Justice, Jordan Sekulow, back with us. Jordan, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Rob. Good to see you.
So the Hill reporting yesterday, and this is interesting, and we thought this could happen, but Democrats are apparently concerned about Aileen Cannon. That's the Trump-appointed judge that has been assigned to this case, and that's, by the way, that is random. They basically draw a name out of a hat. Do they have any power to get another judge appointed to this case? What can they do?
No, they can use political pressure. They can try to use, similar to what they did when the Roe decision, on the Dobbs decision overturning Roe, leaked, and they were trying to put pressure on justices to try and change their position, to try and put again, to say she must recuse herself because she was appointed by President Trump. That is not the case. I don't want to put words in her mouth. I mean, she will ultimately get to make those decisions, and she'll certainly, along the way at the district court level, she could start the trial and a different judge could come in along the way. So that's not always the case, but some of these that take longer, you can understand why that happens. There's also, of course, magistrate judges play a role, like yesterday,
right,
in a lot of this early motion stages of the process where you're talking about setting a timeline for discovery. Are we going for speedy trial, or are we just going to push this through as a much longer case? Because this one could go either way. You could decide to go speedy trial. That's one strategy. And that means we'd be in court August, I think, 22nd, based off yesterday.
Right.
So
no way that happens. In your opinion, no way that happens, though, right?
I could see some inkling of why, if you're the defense attorneys in this case, you say, you know what, Department of Justice, give it all to us then, because that means in discovery, we're not going to fight it out. You got to give it all to us, and we're going to take appeals very quickly to get the information. But because there's so many new serious issues here, like you said, Rob, it's very difficult for me to see how, even if you did a speedy trial, that halfway through that process, it wouldn't get slowed down significantly, because some of these appeals could potentially be big enough to make their way all the way to the Supreme Court. And that might be just off one of the 37 counts and one part of the 37 counts.
Yeah, I was looking into the Florida Southern District bench. So there are 12 judges. 7 were appointed by Democrats. 5 were appointed by Donald Trump, including Aileen Cannon. So the fact that she made a ruling in another Trump case doesn't have any impact on this case or her ability. It doesn't disqualify her for any reason, right?
Absolutely not. That was a procedural ruling.
Okay.
That was a ruling basically to say we need to bring in a special master to review these documents because of issues with the FBI, and well-known issues with the FBI now post-Durham report. So let's bring in people that will analyze the information in that case, who then no one can say on either side, on the prosecutorial side or the defense side, was doing it out of bad faith. That's going to be very important here. Obviously, I think the entire process here is bad faith. I always want to remind people, Rob, every time we talk about it, what Joe Biden and Merrick Garland okayed Jack Smith to do. They have okayed Jack Smith to try to put President Trump in prison for the rest of his life.
Right.
That's whether it's consecutive sentences or not. I mean, if you take these crimes, just a few of them, and were found guilty, that is a life sentence to President Trump.
Jordan,
and that is okayed by his top political opponent.
Yeah, great point. He's 77 years. Today's his birthday. Just if he's found guilty on, so that gets back to the importance of how important the jury is if this does go to trial. I want to talk to you about maybe a plea deal. Do you think that happens before any potential trial, or does Trump go all the way in this thing? Because don't forget, there's this Walt Nauta, Trump aide. He's been with the former president for a long time. He could do 60 years in jail if he's found guilty of moving boxes around Mar-a-Lago, and he's somebody that the prosecution could target to flip.
Sure. And he was with the president yesterday. They've been told not to talk about the case, but they were together when they visited Cafe Versailles on Calle Ocho in Miami, and to that crowd support. And they were still together. I think that was an important signal from President Trump at this time, is that we're together in this fight. But you're right, they're going to target him. He's the kind of low-hanging fruit if you're the prosecution, because he does not have the resources that President Trump has. You try to pit them against each other. Typically, what I say is how I know President Trump. Is he going to take a plea deal? I would almost say absolutely not. Would he do it to protect a close ally like a Walt Nauta? Would he do it for the betterment of the country to move forward? Potentially, but I would say right now, if you asked him, he'd say absolutely not, and I'd agree with him.
Okay. Jordan Sekulow, love to have you back, by the way. Excellent seeing you this morning. Appreciate your breakdown. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.